All right, so I'm here in the car again. This time my team told me to do landscape, so now it's landscape. I'm listening, of course, getting feedback and improving. So yesterday was a pretty insane day on the global macro market, so to speak. The Fed decided to lower interest rates again for the second time in 12 days. A lot of other central banks has followed. They also initiated a 700 billion asset purchase program, also called quantitative easing. 200 billion of those should be mortgage-backed securities and the others traditional securities. And how did the market respond? Well, futures plummeted immediately after. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when the market opens today. My bet will be that probably we will see the circuit breakers pretty fast. And all of this is on top of the 1.5 trillion not QE program from last week, plus a rapidly increasing repo operation that has been going on for months now. I have a feeling that this is the beginning of the end of the US dollar as the world reserve asset. I think the global financial system is on the brink of collapse. And I hope you're doing everything you can to protect your assets, but don't panic. This could really be a watershed moment in global macro history. So remember that this has nothing to do with the coronavirus. People keep saying that, oh, it's the fault of the coronavirus, and most governments and central banks will use that as an excuse and say this is just because of the virus. But this has actually nothing to do with the virus. It's the underlying fundamentals that are utterly broken and has been so since 1968-71, almost 50 years. We've been playing around with this fiat Keynesian insanity experiment with just printing money out of thin air, quantitative easing, and currency backed by nothing, basically, except a promise. On top of that, hugely and rapidly expanding debt bubble, corporate debt skyrocketing, private debt, car debt, household debt, credit card debt, even government state debt is exploding. Everything over the last 50 years has been built on debt. No one can start anything without taking out loans. And all of this has to come to an end, and this end is probably very, very soon. I'm predicting that we will hopefully as a species move to a sound money standard. I don't see a gold standard coming back. That's not effective. The reasons why we left the gold standard are still valid. We need something else, something that is fitting to the globalization and the way that the world works today. We need 24/7 decentralized money systems, reserve assets that functions independently from any single entity, government, and outside human control. And luckily, Bitcoin solves that.